The movie starts with a man waking up in a room shaped like a cube. The walls, ceiling, and floor have glowing lines on them, and there are 6 doors present. As the man gathers his bearings, he opens 2 doors and finds rooms that are just like the one he's in, but with different colors. Curious, he opens a 3rd door and steps inside, but as soon as he does so, he is sliced into large cubes. His body falls apart, and we see a device with crisscrossed wires, which diced him into pieces. It effortlessly folds up and then disappears. Another man named Quentin enters a room confidently. There, he finds a guy named Worth passed out and tries to wake him up. Suddenly, one of the doors opens and a woman cautiously walks in. Her name is Holloway, and she realizes Quentin is as trapped as she is. Soon after, they hear a girl named Levin screaming from the next room. Quentin brings her into the room but accidentally breaks her glasses. Just then, an elderly man, Renee, enters from the upper door, adding more mystery to the scene. It is revealed that none of them have any idea where they are, how they ended up there, or why they're there. Quentin, however, is aware of the existence of traps in the rooms because he almost got his head chopped off earlier. The group of 5 then decides to stick together and search for an exit. Renee leads the way, demonstrating how to check for traps by tossing a boot into rooms while holding onto the laces to see if anything triggers. As soon as he throws a shoe inside a room, it bursts into flames. He then swiftly retrieves the shoe and informs everyone about the presence of motion detectors in the room. He warns that entering inside it triggers the detectors, resulting in fatal burns. By tossing shoes into different rooms, they can determine which areas are safe and which are hazardous. In the meantime, Holloway considers different possibilities regarding who might have created the cube, with aliens or the government being her main theories. After a while, the group begins to hear strange noises from outside, resembling the rumble of a large elevator. Holloway reassures herself that someone will surely come to rescue them. Quentin and Renee, on the other hand, believe that there must be an escape route and suggest moving forward in a straight line. Overwhelmed by everything going on around her, Levin begins to panic. She fears that all of them will meet their ends here in this cube, but Quentin comforts her, saying they will definitely get out of here. Following this, Renee suggests that staying still won't help, so they need to move forward in a straight line until they reach the end. The others agree, and they start navigating through the rooms accordingly. With that, Renee once again tosses his shoe into the adjacent room and, finding it safe, leads the group inside one by one. While they move, they come across a series of numbers displayed on the hatchways between each room. Seeing this, Holloway concludes that there must be thousands of rooms. She explains that they have no access to food or water, which means they can only survive for 3 days. In response, Renee suggests sucking on a button from his shirt to stimulate saliva production and stave off thirst. Following his lead, everyone retrieves their buttons. As the hours pass by, the group continues the boot trick and moves forward. At one point, Renee throws another boot into a room and finds nothing alarming. However, he notices the dry air and concludes that the room probably has an electrochemical sensor. This sensor likely detects hydrogen sulfide emitted from the skin. Where would this group be without Renee? Quentin then becomes curious about Renee's expertise, prompting the old man to reveal that he's a French escape artist who has successfully fled from more than 7 major prisons. Shortly afterward, he jumps into a room that was tested with a boot, only to be sprayed in the face with acid. The others quickly pull him back, but it's too late. The acid corrodes Renee's face and head, leading to an agonizing death. In the aftermath of this incident, the group concludes that the room must have had an electrochemical sensor that their friend missed. So, they need to find a more effective way to test the rooms for traps. While moving forward, Quentin asks everyone what they do for a living. He starts off by revealing that he's a police officer. Holloway then says that she's a doctor, and Worth claims that he works in an office, but doesn't specify much beyond that. When it's Levin's turn, she simply mentions that she hangs out with her friends. Quentin believes there's a reason that they're all in the cube, and that it's not just a coincidence. He further wonders why Levin has her glasses, while Holloway has lost all of her jewelry. As the group continues discussing, Levin suddenly reveals that she's good at math. Good for you, Levin. The others then encourage her to decipher the cube's code, assuming that it's some kind of puzzle. In the next scene, Levin notices that rooms with certain numbers on them are dangerous, especially if the number is a prime number. She proves her theory by explaining that the room in which Renee was attacked with the acid was labeled 149, which is a prime number. With the same trick, she checks the numbers in the next room and finds that none are prime, so it must be safe. Impressed by her cleverness, the rest of the group praises her. Levin then jumps into the room without harm and confirms its safety. The group continues for several hours by using prime numbers to guide them. During this time, Quentin casually flirts with Levin. He shares a bit about his personal life by revealing that he has 3 children and is divorced. Eventually, the group comes across rooms with prime numbers on every door, suggesting that traps lay ahead. Quentin then investigates the door in the ceiling. Suddenly, a person named Kazan falls from above. He seems to be repeating some words and continuously demands to go to the blue room. Holloway deduces that he is mentally handicapped. Meanwhile, Levin wonders how he managed to survive until now. When the group decides to continue their plan to move ahead, some of the members view Kazan as a burden, so they hesitate to bring him along. However, due to Holloway's insistence, they include him in the group. As they speculate about their surroundings, Holloway and Quentin talk about who might be behind the cube. She assumes that the government likely constructed such a massive structure, probably in a desert. Meanwhile, Quentin theorizes that a billionaire may have built it for entertainment, but Holloway finds this notion amusing and laughs it off. Shortly after, Quentin enters a room without prime numbers and narrowly escapes death from a trap involving rotating razor wires. This incident proves Levin's theory about non-prime numbered rooms being safe wrong. Later, Quentin starts suspecting Worth as a spy because he hasn't spoken a word ever since they met. The group then takes a break while Levin tries to decode the numbers. After a while, Quentin tricks Worth into admitting that he's one of the architects who designed the massive cube-shaped structure housing the cube-shaped rooms. When asked about who hired him, Worth admits to having never known his employer. He was just here for the money. Despite growing distrust among the group, particularly from Quentin, who resorts to violence, Worth provides them with crucial information about the outer cube's dimensions, which is 434 feet. Given the data, Levin deduces that there are 26 rooms on each side, totaling 17,576 rooms. She then suggests that the numbers between the rooms might represent Cartesian coordinates, indicating the room's positions within the cube. With this revelation, the group decides to head towards the nearest edge. They continue booting the rooms to detect any dangers. In the next scene, they come across a seemingly safe room adjacent to theirs, but as they are about to cross it, Kazan unexpectedly screams loudly, causing the room to activate some deadly traps. The group then deduces that the room is installed with a sound-activated trap system that will pose a risk if they pass through. Quentin suggests leaving Kazan behind because he wouldn't make it through due to his sudden outburst. However, Holloway continues to insist they bring him along and even volunteers to go through the room with Kazan. After a while, everyone manages to navigate through safely, but when it's Quentin's turn, Kazan inadvertently triggers the trap by making noise. This causes Quentin to narrowly escape death. Filled with rage, he attacks Kazan, but Holloway stops him in the nick of time. Quentin's anger then turns towards her, sparking a heated argument between them. Holloway accuses him of preferring younger girls, suggesting that might be why his wife left him. This makes Quentin so angry that he slaps her numerous times. The two are soon separated by the others, and once the situation cools down, they press forward. At last, the group arrives at one of the side edges of the cube, only to find a gap between the door and the outer shell. They then use their clothes to make a rope, and Holloway courageously offers to swing out and explore outer space. However, when she lingers outside with the help of the makeshift rope, all she can see below is complete darkness. She then attempts to swing towards the outer cell, but the rope proves to be too short for her to reach it. As she hangs outside the room, the cube suddenly shakes violently, almost causing her to plunge into the void below. Thankfully, Quentin manages to pull her by the rope and grab her upwards, but the next second, he intentionally releases her hand, leading to her tragic demise. Following the gruesome incident, Quentin lies to the group that Holloway slipped and fell. This devastates everyone, but they have no choice but to move forward. After a bit of discussion, the group plans to descend to the bottom edge of the cube. However, before that, Levin suggests that they take rest for a while because they are all exhausted. The rest of the group agrees with her and they all lie down on the floor. While they sleep, Quentin carries Levin into another room. He attempts to persuade her to leave the others and also makes makes unwanted sexual advances. When she refuses, he starts getting aggressive. Thankfully, Worth and Kazan wake up and arrive at the room to rescue her. At this point, Quentin has become paranoid, and he admits that he didn't trust Holloway earlier. This leads the rest of the group to suspect that he intentionally killed her. Infuriated by their words, Quentin violently attacks and tosses Worth into the next room. There, Worth finds Renee's lifeless body, causing him to break into hysterical laughter. He realizes that they've only been circling back and forth all this time, but he also notices that the acid room where Renee died is no longer nearby. This makes the group realize that the rooms must be shifting. Levin also realizes that rooms with traps are marked with numbers that aren't just prime, but are prime powers, which are a larger set of prime numbers. She recalls that a room's coordinate number was 27, exceeding the expected 26, indicating that there's a bridge room leading to the exit. She starts calculating its position using surrounding numbers as reference points and realizes that it will move twice before returning to its original position. As they ponder how to detect traps and how the hell Levin figured that out, she proposes examining all 9 numbers instead of just 3 and checking for prime factors to determine safety. She is now tasked with calculating the prime factorization of 3 3-digit numbers for each room they enter. Quentin urges her to calculate the factors quickly, but she explains that it's too complex without a computer. Thankfully, Kazan's true capabilities emerge just at the right time. He is revealed to be an autistic savant who can swiftly perform these calculations. He unexpectedly reveals the prime factors of 567, impressing everyone. They then continue verifying prime factors in the room, confirming it's safe based on his calculations. To check, Quentin throws a piece of debris across a room, which remains intact and ensures safety. With Kazan's assistance, the group navigates towards the exit safely. Worth then comes up with a plan to subdue Quentin, who has become increasingly paranoid. He manages to lure Quentin into a room below them and leaves him behind to face his fate. After this, the rest of the group moves forward and eventually arrives at the bridge room of the cube. Upon opening its door, they are greeted by a flood of bright lights pouring into the room. However, Worth decides he will not go outside, as he believes there's nothing for him in the world beyond the cube. At this moment, Quentin reappears from behind and somehow manages to catch up with them. He tragically kills Levin by piercing her back with a broken door handle and injures Worth with a powerful stab. He then turns to Kazan, who is attempting to climb out of the room, but before Quentin can reach him, Worth grabs his leg and holds it tightly. Just then, the room begins to realign in the narrow crawl space between them. As a result, Quentin gets stuck in between, resulting in his gruesome death. Worth also succumbs to his injuries soon after, but at least he has saved Kazan's life. The final scene of the movie shows Kazan arriving outside the cube and looking at the blinding light, which is perhaps the escape door. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.